Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
The world's changed and the expectations from customers have too. So, for salespeople across the board, where to from here? From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Many moons ago, Tony Gattari had an extraordinary record of sales at Harvey Norman. He then forged an equally successful career as a teacher and consultant, working with significant brands and individuals around Australia. Tony's seen and heard it all, what works and what doesn't work when it comes to sales. For example, he tells Heather Dawson, those hard-closing sales techniques just don't work anymore.
That is a thing of the 50s and the 60s. I think buyers are substantially more educated now. And I think that essentially it's about the engagement, the discovery session. But the essence is still the same, where you actually diagnose, you examine, and then you prescribe, like a doctor. And what I've noticed is that process still works brilliantly. It's just, in many ways, the discovery session has to be deep and profound because the buyer is a lot more educated and they're looking for new information and new discovery sessions. And the prescription is just the solution. I think there are more barriers now, and those barriers sometimes are you're not speaking to the key decision maker, indications of the budgets are not being realised, so you don't truly understand what they're playing with. And sometimes an obsession with price, where price overrules everything else because they're just trying to tick a box to get the lowest possible price because they're a purchasing manager and their KPI is to get the lowest possible price. So that's some perspectives on it.
So would you say selling's harder now than it used to be?
Yes, it is, because I think to really sell well, you have to do three things profoundly good, and not all salespeople have gravitated towards this model. I think you first of all have to teach. I think you have to be a brilliant educator. I really think that you actually have to abandon this philosophy of I know everything and I'm going to drip feed you because that gives me power. I think you teach where you sow and you reap generously, working in the spirit of abundance. Then I think what you do is you tailor. Now, tailor is customization. Every client is different, Heather. Every situation is different. And you just can't have an out-of-the-box solution for people because people feel disregarded. They're not a commodity. They're actually unique. So you have to be able to tailor things around the client's solution. And the last thing is that you must take control. Now, I am a closer, but I do it in steps. I do it in stages. I actually say to them, this is the next stage. There's an old saying, low involvement, low commitment, then ramp it up. So that's why I believe it's harder, because I believe the days of just flogging brochures, talking about product features are well and truly over. And those salespeople are failing. Now, they'll still survive in industries because there is a requirement for that because, ultimately we just got to get some salespeople on board. But the real sales superstars, the ones that earn really seriously amazing money, they have that approach of teaching, tailoring, and taking control.
Now, Tony, you're a born salesperson, but is it a natural skill, actually? What did your years of teaching show you about those who would succeed or not succeed in selling when you were teaching that?
It's a really good question, and I'm going to say this to the listeners, okay? You do not have to have a brilliant sales person. You need to have a brilliant sales system. The essence of insane sales growth is the sales system. And what a lot of owners do is because they're not good at selling, they believe that the answer to all of their problems is just employ a salesperson. And unfortunately, Heather, salespeople sometimes have got the gift of the gab. They know how to exaggerate not only to prospects, but to their employees. And they make wild claims of what they will achieve. And I've seen it so many times. where a business owner has spent in excess of 6 figures on this salesperson who produces nothing, absolutely nothing. And what I've learnt is the most important thing that any business can do is develop their own intellectual property, develop a sales system that is followed by the team. It's almost like a franchise model because the system is the business. The system will give the business owner the results. And in every business that I've worked with where we've extraordinarily changed the dimension, the essence has not been great salespeople. It's been a great sales system that has made average salespeople look absolutely brilliant.
And you're a great fan of accountability, aren't you, in the process?
Oh, yeah. Look, I think that what you measure, you manage, and what you inspect, you improve. And I think that one of the key responsibilities of great sales management, and there are 5 keys to sales management, and I just want to share them with you because I think they're the essence, the foundational points. Number 1, you've actually got to get people focused. Now, what I mean by focus is you've got to relieve them of non-sales activities. You've got to take the burden of administration away so you free them up because they can't sell if they're doing lots of non-sales activities. I think you've got to train them. I think you've got to train them not only in the product but on your sales system. I think you've got to motivate them. I think you've got to reward them because flat salaries equals flat performance. And if I'm just going to get a base wage, I'm going, why go the extra mile? You've got to give me a reason. What's the carrots? But you've also then got to monitor and inspect. And that's where accountability comes into effect. And great sales managers are brilliant accountability coaches.
That was Achievers Group founder and managing director, Tony Gattari. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.